For transparency's sake, let me just say that I'm giving this review simultaneously through 3 different perspectives. As someone who watched the show a few times and really enjoyed it, as a musician who feels so much of the show resonated in her real life, and as a freaking oboist happy to see her instrument acknowledged for once. Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Entertainment. Today I'm going to give my thoughts on the first 4 seasons of the Amazon Prime original Mozart in the Jungle, as well as give some suggestions as to where I think season 5 should go. To borrow a phrase from Lonnie Diane Rich, this show was made specifically to delight me. I first binged it over a 48-hour period amidst pre-midterms crazy because I could not stop watching it. Of course, I watched it a couple more times since then to pick up on all the small details I missed the first time through because I was so invested in the plot. Hey, did you realize the season 1 episode You Go to My Head is just a series of oneers? Blew my mind! I love all the subjects covered, the everyday lives of the musicians and all the struggles they have to get through on their way to success. There was enough drama to keep me hooked, as well as genuinely funny moments. I loved all the music they performed, and the way that I could feel it as though I was actually sitting in with the orchestra. My favorite bit of pushing reality was, of course, the many appearances by the composers, but, I mean, who hasn't had a casual conversation from time to time with a muse who's been dead for a couple hundred years? Now, I could spend a majority of this video talking about everything I found troublesome with the show. Like how I could tell she definitely really wasn't playing oboe, and they weren't conducting, or at least they could have done a better job syncing up the conducting and the music. And okay, there is no way Warren Boyd could have played that solo cold, no warning, from memory, well enough to be in front of an audience. I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen. But I really don't care. I really don't care. I can look past all these small errors and other things because they're not musicians, they're actors. And they're conducting far better than I could, that's for sure. I conduct with my left hand, so apparently I won't get too far in life. I'm just so happy to watch a show that's all about musicians. Overall, though, I believed they were musicians because they acted like musicians. They breathed and lived and felt the music. So let me put on the hat of oboist for a moment. I completely agree with something Haley said, I think in season 3. The oboe is the instrument of love. Not romantic love, but all kinds of love. Its sound is just so beautiful and sad. There's so much conveyed in anything that's played by oboe. And oboes are not a dime a dozen. A good one is a rare commodity, and to have a great one is a gem. So maybe, thanks to this show, people can stop asking me what an oboe is. Alright, a couple oboist-only things. The scene in the pilot with her working on her reed on that carriage bike thing gave me so much anxiety. Kids, don't do that. You can't do that. I really appreciated that little joke in season 4. Don't date an oboist because they carry knives. Good advice. And that scene in season 4 with Rodrigo playing the oboe, I'm like 98% sure that was Gael actually playing because only someone who has never touched an oboe could make it sound like that. And don't hate me, but I don't like the Mozart concerto that much. For season 5, I have a couple song requests. Benjamin Britten's 6 Metamorphoses after Ovid. Or the Marcello Concerto in C minor. Or Gabriel's oboe at the very least. Who appreciated many of the selections sampled throughout the seasons, including the Vaughan Williams Concerto, the Saint-Saëns Sonata. I was a little surprised not to hear those other pieces thus far. From a storytelling standpoint, I think the best direction to take Season 5 is to bring it back home. Focus on the orchestra, the New York Symphony, in New York City. I really enjoyed seeing all the different places around the world that they visited, but maybe try bringing it back to New York for this one. Let's learn more about the other players in the orchestra. And let's do a little more character work with Haley and Rodrigo. Alright, quick sidebar. How did that relationship just fall apart? I paid so much attention during that little tea mind trip thing. I just don't know how she arrived at that little insight. Unless it's the whole she's so close to success, so she's gonna choke, which was kind of her motif for this whole season, so maybe I'd buy that. But anyway, as for overall storytelling structure, I enjoyed Season 1's the best. It was like a 4-hour movie, cleverly disguised as a TV show. Some episodes had cold opens, and some didn't. And I really liked the quick little title card with the little oboe theme, as well as the actual title of the episode. Some of those episode titles were really funny, so why not share them in the actual episode? My favorites were definitely If I Was an Elf, I Would Tell You, and Nothing Resonates Like Rhinoceros Foreskin. I think going back to that form might help this show gain a little more focus. Not that it's bad, but I think it might need to go in a slightly different direction. I look past any inconsistencies and unrealistic things because it is just a show, and the message it is sending is far more important than matching up conducting shots with the actual downbeats of the music. It shows the very realistic world of being a musician, always fighting, always chasing, always moving, always playing. But you do it all for the love of the music. Even jobs not actually playing instruments can still be done for the love of the music. And I just love the show for that. If you are a musician, you should definitely watch this show. If you're not a musician, or maybe you don't quite get music, even the first few episodes will give you a good insight into what musician life is like. How we view the world, how we view our craft, how we know the world views us, and why we don't care. So there's just one more thing I have to say. Emphasize, I learned this for this video. I've never learned the third movement, technically. I have a third movement problem. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and remember, embrace your creative side. And watch Mozart in the Jungle! My favorite part, oh, let's see if I can play this still. It's been a couple months. I'm parched in play.